guys? Wiggy here, workingclassfitness.com. In my last video, I talked about the idea of what is considered strong. You know, how strong would you have to be considered strong? You know, how much weight would you have to lift, that sort of a thing. And basically came to the conclusion that it has to be based on your body weight. And sort of the de facto principles out there, or the de facto standards, especially on the internet, of, let's say, pressing your body weight, benching 1.5 times your body weight, squatting twice your body weight, and deadlifting roughly 2.5 times your body weight, were all, you know, good ideas. They were all good benchmarks, that if you could do those, you were going to be strong. But you didn't have to necessarily reach all of those in order to still be strong. That strength, while very important, is a lead-in to many other physical traits that you need to develop if you want to be successful, you know, physically, just in regular life or with your athletic pursuits or anything else like that. So, and I also kind of alluded to the idea that there is a point that once you get so strong that strong is strong enough, and that continuing on to go to trying to get stronger than that kind of reduces the return on investment, so to speak, in that the stronger you get, it's not going to help you that much more, especially when compared to other things you can do. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here. If you can get to more or less those standards, you know, in relation to your body weight, and again, you don't have to reach all of them. If you can hit, you know, 3 of the 4 or 2 of the 4, or you're even close. Like, let's say you can't hit any of them, but let's say you're getting up, you know, almost to your body weight. You know, maybe 3/4 your body weight, or 85% of your body weight. Let's say you can't quite bench 1.5 times your body weight, but you're at 1.25 or something like that. Instead of squatting twice your body weight, you're at 1.75 times your body weight. You know, anything along those lines. You know, you're close enough, as long as you're kind of in that range. Once you get to that point, that's very close for most people to being, you know, quote unquote strong enough, because then you can start focusing. You know, you never want to totally de-emphasize strength, in that it's not important to you anymore, but you want to emphasize it either in different ways, or continue to maintain it and build it by working on other physical traits instead. And I'll give you an example of what I mean, or a hypothetical example of what I mean, and what the difference can be. Now, in the last video, I mentioned, you know, one of the reasons why you've got to, you know, kind of make everything by body weight is that people are just too different. You know, if you had a small guy versus a moderately sized guy versus, you know, a big, huge dude, you know, saying, well, you know, all 3 had to bench 300 pounds just wouldn't be, you know, real applicable across the board. And I mentioned, let's say you've got a guy that's, you know, 5'9", 185. So let's just say, let's continue on with that example, you know, fairly simple thing. And let's say that guy builds up his deadlift to 365. Okay, now that's, you know, a respectable deadlift for that. That's, you know, roughly 2 times body weight or so. And that's a decent pull. Now, that is not the 2.5 times body weight deadlift that we say is, you know, would constitute quote unquote strong. So at this point, he could do a couple different things. He could continue to, you know, work on strength and emphasize and focus strength to try and get up, let's say, to that 2.5 times body weight deadlift. The question is, will that be applicable, or will that be ultra beneficial to him as compared to what else he could do? Now, let's say, you know, he takes, instead of trying to push his deadlift from 365 up to, you know, 400 or 405 or 420 or whatever, and let's say he actually drops back down a little bit. Let's say he hits 365, stays there for, you know, short amount of time, a few weeks, whatever, and then he drops back down to, I don't know, 250, 245, 250, something else like that, and he starts working his way back up to roughly 365 again. Only now he's a little bit, you know, again, if he's got the time, you know, of course, it's always going to depend upon what your schedule is like and what your goals are, and, you know, whether or not you've got, you know, fights coming up or competitive seasons or anything else like that. But let's just say the guy can do this. You know, let's say he drops back down to, you know, 245, 250, something like that, and he spends a little bit of time at the lower weight, slowly progressing, you know, kind of like almost like a linear periodization type of deal, working his way back up to 365. Only now, instead of trying to progress, you know, fairly quickly or anything else along those lines, and just worrying about how much weight's on the bar and going from, you know, again, if we're talking about the deadlift, being able to pick it up versus not being able to pick it up, let's say he really focuses on being very fast, very explosive, really being able to yank that bar off the floor as hard and as fast as he can. So over the course of a few months, let's say he goes from deadlifting 365, slow and grinding it up. It's a max attempt, obviously. Drops back down, works his way back up again. But now when he pulls 365, man, he's pulling that shit hard. He's pulling it fast. Almost to the point to where he looks like he's gonna clean that bar. He's gonna shrug it up to his shoulder, or pull it up to his shoulders. That kind of a thing. Very fast, very explosive. Same weight on the bar. So as far as strength goes, the definition of strength would just literally be how much force you can produce, how much weight's on the bar. He's not any stronger, quote unquote, or he hasn't tested himself as being any stronger, but he's obviously much more powerful. He's much more explosive. By nature, he's going to have built more strength just because he can now contract his muscles that much harder and that much faster. But he hasn't been focusing on that. Instead, he's been focusing on getting fast and getting explosive with that heavier weight. Now, compare that, let's say, deadlifting that 365 really hard and fast, like he looks like he wants to clean it, as compared to increasing his deadlift from 365 up to, 400 or 4.25. Which one in, almost any other realm of a physical pursuit do you think is going to be more applicable from, let's say, a GPP perspective, or is going to help you out more? And really the answer is going to be, the fast deadlift at the 365. Stopping the progression up in weight, backing back down, and then working his way back up again, only now doing it very fast, very hard, very explosive. That's actually going to do him a lot more good. And that's going to be a lot more applicable, have a lot more carryover to, again, almost anything else you want to do. So in this instance, you look at it and you say, okay, well, 365 in this case was kind of strong enough. It wasn't quite that 2.5 times bodyweight deadlift, but it was still strong enough for him to kind of shift his emphasis and his focus away from pure strength to other physical traits, that would actually benefit and behoove him more in his other physical pursuits. So keep that kind of thing on mind. Whatever, you want to get strong, but you want, strong enough is strong enough. Because then you can do so many other things. Because the one question I'm sure somebody's asking is, well, if the fast and explosive and lifting like that is more beneficial, why not do that from the get-go? I've seen programs that recommend most lifting be done in, let's say, the 45 to 65% range, because that's where the most power can be produced, let's say, and that's where most of the main lifts are done, and there's no or very little like actual heavy work done. And my response to that is, that's fine if you're already strong. If you've hit that strong enough point. If you're, not that strong or you're weak or anything else like that, you're not doing yourself that much good. If you're going in and the most you can deadlift, and let's say you're, again, this 5'9", 185 guy, and all he can deadlift is 2.25, and he's got to go in and do these fast deadlifts or faster deadlifts with 135. It's not, there's no point. He doesn't have enough weight on the bar to do himself any good. So he would have been better off working his way up to getting strong enough and then shifting his emphasis over. So give that a shot. Think about that. Keep that in mind when you're building your strength levels up. Get to a point of being strong enough, and then shift your emphasis over if need be, and if that's what suits you. So hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe to my channel, and hit the link up at the end of this video. Enter in your email address so I can send you new YouTube videos and plenty of tips and advice on a near daily basis. All right? Train hard, rest hard, play hard.